Welcome back to Ambo life, everyone. My name is April, and Devon and I have been living in our converted ambulance RV for the last 11 months now. So if you've been following along with our videos, you know that Devon and I recently ran into some transmission trouble and we had to get towed about 125 miles to the nearest Ford dealership, and they said that they couldn't see us for another 4 to 5 weeks. So in the meantime, Devon and I have been working at the local Walmart where we are. We've been working there for about 3 weeks now, and today Devon is working there right now, but I have the day off. So I'm just chilling in the ambulance today. I'm getting some stuff done. I'm going to practice my cello, taking care of just some administrative stuff. I'm sending out some more Ambo Life stickers to those of you who ordered them. And I'm also going to work on finishing this shirt. It was actually a dress that I bought at Walmart a couple days ago. So the funny thing is that right now, due to the virus, not only are the fitting rooms all closed, but also on top of that, they're not accepting clothing returns for the foreseeable future. I mean, it could be months until you can actually bring back a piece of clothing. So I bought this. It was a small. It says size 4 to 6. And it's huge on me. I'm like swimming in it. I think it's just the way that the sizing is at Walmart. I think it's just really skewed. So I put it on and it's like I look like I'm wearing a burlap sack of flour. So then yesterday I tried taking it in a little bit, like to try to give it a bit more shape. And then it still didn't really work because the fabric is really limp. It's rayon. And then I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'll make it into a shirt. So I cut it off. I cut it short, see? And right now it's just a raw edge, so I have to finish hemming it. But if that doesn't work, it's going to be a headband or a scarf. But I really like this gold, and I actually did cut it kind of short, so I'm actually going to add like a little bit of like a peplum like at the bottom because I've got some leftover fabric. So anyway, before I do all that today, I just wanted to, as promised, talk a little bit more about what it's like to work at Walmart as a temp. Because I feel like people could have all kinds of different reasons for having to work at Walmart as a temp. Maybe you're like us and you're having vehicle trouble and you're in a new city and you're trying to find something you can do to help pay for those repairs. Or maybe you have children and you're trying to find something part-time that you can do. Or maybe you're in the restaurant industry and you recently got laid off because a lot of restaurants have totally shut down. So whatever your reasons are, I just thought I would do a video talking about kind of the application process, the pay, what the work is really like, and just to give you a better sense in case you might want to do this. So as we mentioned in our last video, Devon and I are working in the Department of Online Grocery Pickup, or OGP. Basically, people can go online on Walmart.com, they can shop online, they can order anything from food to clothing, electronics, garden stuff, personal care, anything. And they can order it online, and then they can drive up to a specific area in the Walmart parking lot where someone will bring it out. The great thing about that is that there's no extra charge for people who are shopping this way. And due to the virus, a lot more people are shopping online at Walmart because they don't want to go into the store for obvious reasons, right? So because of that, Walmart is hiring a lot of temporary people to work this job. Basically, they need people to go through the store and shop for all these orders. And they need people to bring the orders out to the customers when they drive up. So it's a great opportunity if you want a temp job. Devon and I found it extremely easy to get these jobs. I didn't even know that it was going to be this easy. I went online, filled out an application. The application was super easy. It took about 5 minutes. And we got a phone call the next day to go into Walmart for, to fill out a few forms. They did a background check. They did a quick orientation, and then we started the next day. So applying and getting hired is very quick and very, very simple. And basically, I really think that if you can read, understand, and speak English, and you're not a convicted felon, you can get a job doing this. It's really, really streamlined. Okay, now let's talk about pay. The pay per hour is $13.50, which I know is pretty low, but if you're living in a vehicle and you have very few expenses, you can save most of that money, or you can apply it to whatever you need it for. And so it actually works out pretty well. Basically, what we did was we made an arrangement with the manager at Walmart, and they were perfectly fine with us actually parking here, kind of not like in the main section of the Walmart parking lot, but because we're in like a larger shopping center with lots of other businesses, many of which aren't even open right now anyway, there are lots of other spots where they told us we could park. So we've just been doing that, and it's actually working out very well. As far as the pay goes, I think that for people who are living in an area where you're, for example, having to save up for a rent payment or something, that might be a bit of a stretch on $13.50 per hour. But if you're looking for something to maybe supplement your income or just have a little bit of extra to get by, this is a good option. As far as temp work goes, I've done temp jobs through other agencies, for example, Randstad, that huge nationwide agency, and I was able to find temp office work that definitely paid significantly more than that per hour. However, there was also a lot more competition to get those jobs because it was when we were living in the Boston area, and I had just finished graduate school and was kind of trying to figure out what was next in my life, and so I was doing a couple of temp jobs in the meantime. So I think that for the pay, it's definitely pretty low, but it's also this is also a very easy job to get, so there's that too. Okay, so now let's talk about working at Walmart versus other work camping jobs such as the beet harvest. The beet harvest is a very popular temp gig. It's only a couple of weeks long, and it's very popular among people living in vehicles and RVs especially. Devon and I did the beet harvest last year, and the going rate of pay for that was, I think it was like $14.75 per hour. However, you were working 12-hour shifts, and on certain days, like on the weekends and especially on Sundays, you could get premium pay, so double pay or time and a half, depending on which site you were actually working at, like which state you were in, because there are different rules about like overtime and stuff. But that was the base rate for new hires, and I think this year it's going to be even more than that for new hires. So that's really great. Okay, so now I want to talk a little bit about more specifically what this kind of job entails. So as I mentioned, I basically go through the store and I shop for all of the people who have placed orders online. I have a big rolling cart that I push through the store. It has 8 blue bins on it. Each blue bin represents a different order number. And we're each given a smartphone that has a scanner on it. So you just use a certain app that we all use, and it just tells you every single item that you have to go get. So with the app, it tells you the item, the price. It usually shows like a little photo of it too, which is great. And it also tells you the letter, that means the section of the store that it's in, the aisle number, and the section within that aisle. So it makes it a lot easier to find the item fairly fast. Unless the items are not where they say that they're going to be, in which case that's a whole nother challenge. But Generally speaking though, the people stocking the shelves do a really good job making sure that things are actually stocked where they are. The only times when it can get a little challenging is if the customers move things around and they put things in front of the items, so you don't always see it right away. But that's fine. It's just a small challenge that comes with the job. But yeah, generally it's actually a really easy job doing the shopping. It's pretty fast paced. Like they generally want you to spend no more than about 30 seconds per item. So in most like shopping walks or like trips through the store, I usually have about 60 to 70 items that I have to get. And especially with the chilled items and the frozen items, you can't take longer than 30 minutes because they want to make sure that everything stays at a cold enough temperature, obviously. And so definitely with the chilled and frozen, you have to be really, really fast. But after a while, you really learn where all the stuff is in the store, all the different items, specialty items and everything. So after a while, it becomes really easy to go through the store. And the only time when it can get a little bit tricky finding things is, besides what I was mentioning before, where you have customers moving things around, but also sometimes in the garden section or the seasonal areas, sometimes things kind of get moved around just on like a weekly basis, just if they're showcasing new products or other things like that. So that can be a little bit tough, but it's generally not that hard. And let's see, anything else I want to say about that? Oh, there's a lot of walking. In case you haven't already deduced that, there's a ton of walking involved in this job. I walk between, I would say, 6.5 to 8 miles every day. I actually have a step counter on my phone, so I can tell how many miles I've walked. And it is well over 10,000 steps. It's usually like 17,000 steps every single day. So if you like walking and you're able to walk that much, then this job could be really great. If you're not though, definitely think about doing something else, because I know not everyone can handle walking that much, or they just don't want to. The other thing I wanted to point out is it's a fairly physical job. Like with the cart, you have to like push a big cart that's full of cans of soup and soda, cases of soda and like, gallon jugs of milk and distilled water and all that. Sometimes fairly heavy things. So the cart can be pretty heavy to push. So I have to be very, very careful to really engage my core every time I push or turn the cart. And also my mother gave me a really good tip to make sure that I vary the position at which I push the cart, so that sometimes I push it a little higher, sometimes I have my hands down lower, so that it's not always putting the same strain on the same muscles. So she gave me that great tip, and I'm always thinking about that whenever I am at work. So there's a fair amount of stooping and bending and lifting, especially if you're going down to like the lower shelves to look for things and to pick things up. And also sometimes on the higher shelves, I cannot reach what's up there. So I like have to either, I'm not really supposed to do this, but occasionally step on a shelf to get up there, or I have a stick that I use to like pull the item down. Sometimes being 5'2" is not easy, except on airplanes, in which case it's great. But anyway, so there's that. And then sometimes we have oversized orders. So I try not to do the oversized orders because we have big, strong guys there to do that. But if nobody's there, then I do the oversized order. Sometimes we have like the bigger bags of like bird seed and like we have like lawn chairs and other bigger items, in which case I always get help. I always get someone to help me lift it onto the cart. And I really take my time with that because I don't want to get hurt. So I hardly ever do that. I only do it when I absolutely have to, and I'm extremely careful. So that's another part of the job too, but that, that doesn't really come up that often. It's definitely a fast-paced job. It's an easy job, but you have to really concentrate, and you have to just, you're always moving. There really isn't any downtime, which can be kind of nice because it helps the day go by a lot faster, and it helps you get done faster. So, you know, there's something kind of nice about having a job where you just punch in and punch out, you know? At the end of the day, at 4 o'clock, I'm done. I don't have to like mentally take my work home as I have at previous jobs where I've, you know, been like writing something or something, and I kind of take the work home with me mentally. I'm thinking about it and trying to like figure it out, or maybe like a stressful meeting and I'm like still thinking about that later. At this kind of job, there's really isn't any of that. It's just punch in, do your work, punch out, that's it. So there are definitely advantages to that in a way. So Devon's job, as I mentioned before, Devon is a dispenser, and Devon basically, when I bring back the cart full of those bins, Devon and the other crew members, they do what's called staging. So they take the bins out and they arrange them all by order number and by the time slot that the customer is due to drive in and pick up their order. Once the customer arrives, it actually sends a notification to Devon's phone saying that they're there. So then he loads up a cart with their order, pulls the cart out, greets the customer, makes sure that it's actually them, and then loads all the items into the back of their vehicle, and then they sign off on it and they go. The other thing too is that Devon makes sure that the customer knows, like, if there's certain items that we couldn't find that were unavailable, certain, you know, for example, certain cuts of meat aren't always available, or if we had to substitute things too. So if the customer's okay with like the substitutions, then they say, oh yeah, that's fine, and they sign off on it and then they go. And so as you can see, Devon's job and my job are totally different types of tasks within the same department. I do a lot more walking and Devon does a lot more lifting, because he's the one who has to like lift the totes onto the bigger cart and take them out. So I think that if maybe you don't have as much upper body strength, I think that my job is definitely a better option for you. If you want a job that's more into the heavier lifting, then Devon's job is a good option. For me, I am really glad that I'm not a dispenser, because I think I would risk hurting myself if I were doing that. I wouldn't want to do that. My job is more like a scavenger hunt, which is kind of like, I don't know, I just think of it as a game, and I'm just like, how fast can I go through the store and find all the items and stuff? Occasionally, customers will stop me and ask me where things are. Generally speaking though, usually I don't have to interact with customers much, which is great. Speaking of customers, one potential downside of this job is that sometimes you deal with customers who are in a bad mood, they're cranky, they've had a bad day, or maybe they just don't like shopping at Walmart. Sometimes people in the store get annoyed when my cart is like in the way, but I can't really help it because I have to get my cart in there to load the stuff, so there isn't really a whole lot I can do except try to stay out of the way as much as possible. And I think I do a very good job of staying out of the way, but the problem is that because there's now a lot of people who are going over to online shopping, there are a lot more people like me creating a lot more traffic in the store. So that's one kind of downside to the online grocery pickup, is that it does create a lot more congestion and traffic inside the store in the aisles, and customers have to like now watch out for us in addition to the people who are stocking the shelves. So sometimes the aisles can actually get quite crowded. So that's just another thing to kind of think about. Oh, before I wrap up this video, I want to talk a little bit about the hours. One of the really nice things is that you can really decide on how many hours you want to or can work. Basically, I said I wanted as many hours as I could possibly get, And so Devon and I both work between 32 and 35-ish hours a week. Oftentimes though, it's more than that because sometimes if somebody calls in sick, then they call us to see if we would mind coming in for a few hours, even if it's a day off, which is fine. I definitely think that if you're a high school student or you have a kid at home who is in high school, this could be a really good option for an after-school job, because a lot of the high school students come in at around 4 and they do like an evening shift or something like that, or they just work a few hours in the evening. And I think that's a really good option if you want to have some work experience and you want to make a little extra cash. Definitely a good opportunity there. I think generally the management has been really nice. I mean, I actually genuinely like the people that I work with. Most of them are great. Some of them aren't, but you know, I think it's just the way any workplace, there are a few people that are annoying. So they actually post your all of our metrics on the wall every week. They post like our average time, our like the percentage of the time that you choose the correct item the first time and scan it correctly. So that's kind of interesting. So it's not only speed, but it's also like your accuracy. So I hope that this video was helpful. I hope that I was able to give you a better sense of what working at Walmart as a temp is actually like. Some of the pros and cons to kind of watch out for. And if you're considering working at Walmart as a temp, if you have any questions at all, feel free to put them in the comments below. Definitely. Devon and I haven't been as fast about responding to comments lately just because we've been busy working, but if you have any questions, definitely put them down there. We would love to hear from you. And yeah, I hope that you're all doing well out there and staying safe. Oh, speaking of staying safe, the other obvious risk to working at Walmart is being exposed to the virus. We're all required to wear masks at all times, and whenever we walk in, they screen us for our temperature. They use one of those like UV, or no, not UV, like an infrared like little gun that they point at your forehead to check your temperature. As soon as you walk in, and you absolutely have to wear a mask, and they have hand sanitizer stations, you know, where we're working. So obviously there definitely is an increased risk of being exposed to the virus because you're just in the store all day. So there is that. I was definitely well aware of that when we decided to work there, but I think where we currently are, the rates of just the overall prevalence of this disease is actually pretty low. So I figured that for the time being, it's a good thing. I wouldn't want to do this for months and months, mostly because of that. So that's definitely something to think about wherever you happen to live if you're thinking about working at Walmart. They also are encouraging all shoppers to wear masks as well. Customers don't have to wear masks, but they're highly encouraged. And they're also, I think, keeping track of the number of customers in the store, although to me, especially on a Sunday afternoon, it's pretty crowded. So I don't know how much I don't know what kind of a quota system they have, or if they're even doing that, because I've seen a lot of people at Walmart at one time. So, and obviously they encourage people to stay 6 feet apart, but if you're a personal shopper, it's not even possible to do that because you're in these narrow aisles trying to like push your cart through, and there are lots of other people usually there, not only shoppers, but also people stocking the shelves. So as much as we can maybe try to stay 6 feet apart, it's very hard to actually do that all the time. I try to be careful about it, but realistically, it's hard to actually do that. So that's another issue if you're concerned about that. Yeah, I hope that this video was helpful for you. Again, if you have any questions at all, please feel free to put them in the comments below. I would love to hear from you, from all of you. And thanks again for watching the latest this latest episode of Ambo Life. And we will definitely keep you up to date on our appointment. We have our appointment at Ford in 5 days now, and we've confirmed we're in the books for the 15th. They couldn't see us any sooner. We checked, but we'll go there. We'll let you know what happens and hopefully get a good answer from them. So until then, thanks again for watching. We will see you next time, and stay safe out there. Bye-bye.